The war ended not with a great battle, but with a simple ceremony. President Jennifer Walsh stood before the largest gathering of alien species in galactic history. Representatives from over 100 worlds had come to witness this moment. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council Station had been rebuilt to accommodate everyone who wanted to attend. Jennifer wore a simple blue dress that represented Earth's oceans and skies. She was not trying to look like an alien leader. She wanted to look like what she was, a human who spoke for her people and for everyone who believed in freedom. "Members of the galactic community," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall. "6 months ago, the hegemony tried to invade Earth because they thought we were weak and primitive. Today, I stand before you to announce the formation of the Terran Federation, an alliance of free worlds dedicated to protecting the rights of all sentient beings." The applause lasted for several minutes. Beings who had been slaves just months before were now free citizens of their own worlds. Species that had been enemies for centuries were working together under human leadership. Admiral Carl Johnson sat in the front row, watching with pride as his president spoke to the galaxy. Next to him sat Commander Steve Parker, Captain Maria Rodriguez, and dozens of other humans who had become heroes to people they had never met on worlds they had never seen. "The Terran Federation formally requests membership in the Galactic Council," Jennifer continued, "not as junior partners seeking approval, but as equal voices for all free peoples of the galaxy." Prime Executor Thrain rose from his seat. The great lizard man, who had once laughed at the idea of humans being dangerous, now looked at Jennifer Walsh with deep respect. "President Walsh," he said in his deep, rumbling voice, "the Galactic Council unanimously votes to accept humanity not just as members, but as founding partners in what we hope will become a new age of galactic cooperation." The vote had actually taken place days earlier, but everyone knew the result would be unanimous. Even the species that had initially opposed human membership had changed their minds after seeing what humans could accomplish. In a detention facility on a neutral space station, Fleet Commander Vashatar watched the ceremony on a small screen in his cell. His guard was Sergeant Ben Wright, a young human soldier with kind eyes who treated his prisoners with respect. "I still do not understand," Vashatar said quietly. "How did your species become so powerful so quickly?" Ben sat down, across from the former hegemony commander. "We didn't become powerful, sir. We always were powerful. The difference is that we were never given a reason to show it until you threatened our home." "But your technology was so primitive," Vashatar protested. "Our intelligence report said you barely knew how to leave your own planet." Ben smiled and handed him a thick book. "This is a history of human warfare, Commander. Read about our world wars, our Cold War, and our space race. We don't stay primitive when we're threatened. We adapt, we learn, and we build whatever we need to survive." Vashatar opened the book and began to read about human conflicts. Within minutes, his 3 eyes were wide with amazement. These humans had fought wars that involved their entire planet. They had built weapons that could destroy their own world. They had reached their moon not through gradual technological advancement, but through sheer determination and engineering brilliance accomplished in less than a decade. "Your species has been at war with itself for thousands of years," Vashatar said with growing understanding. "You learned to fight because you had to fight each other." "That's right," Ben replied. "And when someone threatened all of humanity instead of just part of it, we stopped fighting each other and started fighting together. That's when we became truly dangerous. On Earth, celebration parades were happening in every major city. People danced in the streets, not because they had won a war, but because they had helped win freedom for billions of beings across the galaxy. Children who had grown up thinking they were alone in the universe were now learning about dozens of alien species that considered humans to be heroes. Dr. Lisa Parker was working in her laboratory with alien scientists from 12 different worlds. Together, they were developing new technologies that would benefit everyone in the galaxy. The same human creativity that had been used to build weapons was now being used to build a better future. Dr. Kexlar, Lisa said to a tall, thin alien with silver skin, "Your people's knowledge of energy manipulation combined with our manufacturing techniques could solve the power shortage on the outer worlds." "An excellent idea, Dr. Parker," Kexlar replied. "My people have waited centuries for someone who could turn our theories into practical solutions." This kind of cooperation was happening everywhere. Humans had a talent for taking alien knowledge and figuring out how to use it in ways that its original creators had never imagined. Captain Jake Morrison, the man who had been conducting routine training exercises when the war began, now commanded a space fleet that included ships from 30 different species. He stood on the bridge of his flagship looking out at stars that no longer seemed lonely or empty. "Captain," said Lieutenant Amy Chen, who had been promoted to his second-in-command, "we're receiving requests from 17 more systems asking to join the Federation." "Approved," Jake replied. "Send them the standard welcome package and assign them liaison officers. Make sure they understand that membership means responsibility to protect each other." The Federation was growing faster than anyone had expected. Worlds that had been isolated for centuries were eager to join an alliance that promised both protection and freedom. Ambassador Kethron walked slowly through the corridors of the Council Station. The ancient archivist was one of the few beings who had not been surprised by human capabilities. He had tried to warn others, but no one had listened. A young human diplomat named Lieutenant Sarah Kim approached him. She was part of the new Earth Embassy staff that was setting up offices throughout Council space. "Ambassador Kethron," she said respectfully, "President Walsh would like to thank you for your support during the early days of the conflict. Your warnings about underestimating humanity probably saved thousands of lives." Kethran smiled with his ancient eyes. "Young human, I have learned more about your species in the past 6 months than I learned about most species in centuries of observation. You have a gift that is rare in the galaxy." "What gift is that, sir?" "The ability to inspire others to be better than they thought they could be," he replied. "Most species either conquer or are conquered. You liberate. Most species either lead through fear or follow through weakness. You lead through inspiration and follow through choice." Colonel Patricia Hayes was establishing the Federation Diplomatic Academy, where humans and aliens would learn to work together as ambassadors and negotiators. Students from 40 different worlds had already enrolled. The goal, Patricia explained to her first class, is not to make everyone think like humans. It's to help everyone learn from each other so we can build something better than any of our species could create alone. As the months passed, the galaxy began to change in ways that no one had expected. Trade increased as former enemies became partners. Scientific advancement accelerated as different species shared their knowledge. Most importantly, hope returned to worlds that had forgotten what freedom felt like. President Walsh stood on the balcony of her office, looking up at stars that were no longer distant points of light, but homes to friends and allies. The great joke of galactic history had become the foundation of a new era. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had convinced it to conquer itself, to rise above its limitations and build something worthy of the stars. The species that everyone had underestimated was now leading the way to a future that no one had dared to imagine. The first battle lasted only 12 minutes. When it was over, 3 hegemony destroyers were floating dead in space, their crews either captured or escaped in small rescue pods. Commander Vashatar stared at his battle screens in complete shock. He had never seen anything like what had just happened. The humans had not fought like any species he knew. They did not use the slow, careful tactics that most civilized races preferred. Instead, they moved fast and struck hard, using weapons that seemed to appear from nowhere. Sergeant Major Kate Sullivan watched from her command post on one of Earth's orbital defense platforms. She was a tough woman with short red hair and scars on her hands from years of military training. Her job was to operate the kinetic bombardment systems, weapons that could throw metal rods at incredible speeds. "Direct hit on Target 7, she reported to Admiral Johnson. "Their shields are down and their engines are not working." "Good work, Sullivan," came the Admiral's voice through her headset. "Prepare for the next wave." Kate smiled as she loaded another round into her weapon. The aliens had expected humans to shoot slow, clumsy missiles at them. Instead, they got metal rods moving at nearly the speed of light, punching through their armor like paper. Captain Rick Barnes was commanding a group of ships that the aliens could not even see on their sensors. His vessels used stealth technology that the alien refugees had taught humans how to build. Rick was a calm man with black hair who never raised his voice, even during battle. "This is Barnes to all Phantom units," he said quietly into his radio. "Move to attack position Beta. Launch fusion torpedoes on my mark." The alien ships never saw the attack coming. Suddenly, bright explosions lit up space around them. Two more. Hegemony cruisers began spinning out of control, their crews screaming in panic as their ships died around them. On the bridge of the Deathbringer, Commander Vashid Tar was trying to understand how everything had gone so wrong so quickly. "Report!" he shouted at his officers. "How are they doing this?" Science Officer Krell Moth was frantically checking his instruments with all of his spider-like legs. "Sir, they are using tactics I have never seen before. They attack from multiple directions at once. Their weapons are more powerful than our," reports indicated. "And somehow, they seem to know exactly where we are going to be." What Krellmoth did not know was that humans had been learning about hegemony battle tactics for years. The alien refugees had taught them everything about how hegemony fleets operated. Humans knew where the aliens would position their ships, how they would attack, and what their weaknesses were. General Frank Turner sat in a command bunker deep under a mountain on Earth's surface. He was an older man with white hair who had fought in many human wars before learning about aliens. His job was to coordinate the planet's entire defense. "Turner to all units," he said into his communication system. "Phase 2 is now active. Begin broadcasting the Liberty message." Across the galaxy, a signal began reaching planets that had been conquered by the hegemony years ago. The message was simple but powerful. It was being broadcast by Dr. Alan Cooper, a thin man with glasses who specialized in alien communication systems. "People of the galaxy," Alan said, speaking in dozens of different alien languages. "This is Earth calling. We know you have suffered under hegemony rule. We are offering you sanctuary, protection, and a chance to fight for your freedom. Join us." The response was immediate and overwhelming. On 12 different worlds, alien populations that had been forced to serve the hegemony suddenly began to rebel. Ships that had been hidden for years came out of asteroid fields and secret bases. Within hours, the hegemony found itself fighting wars on multiple fronts. Back in space near Earth, Commander Vashid Tar was receiving terrible news from his home fleet. "Sir," his communication officer said with fear in his voice, "we are getting reports of uprisings on Kepler Prime, New Titan, and the Vega colonies. Our garrison fleets are requesting immediate reinforcement." "Impossible," Vashitar said. "Those worlds have been peaceful for decades." "Not anymore, sir," the officer replied. "The rebels are using Earth-supplied weapons and tactics. They are coordinating their attacks with the humans." President Jennifer Walsh stood in the Oval Office, speaking with alien leaders on screens around the room. She was talking to the rebellion commanders on 6 different worlds, coordinating their attacks with Earth's military operations. "Prime Rebel Zendar," she said to a lizard-like being on one screen, "our fleet will create a distraction in the hegemony's home system. Use that time to capture their fuel depots." "It will be done, President Walsh," Zendar replied. "My people have waited 30 years for this chance." The Galactic Council was in emergency session. The same beings who had laughed at the idea of humans being dangerous were now watching in horror as their entire galaxy descended into war. The humans had done something that no one thought was possible. They had turned a war of conquest into a war of liberation. Ambassador Zix Thala sat in stunned silence as reports flooded in. Her purple crystal arms had lost their glow and hung limply at her sides. The mighty hegemony fleet that was supposed to easily crush Earth was instead being destroyed by creatures they had thought were barely intelligent. Prime Executor Thrain was no longer laughing. His scaled face was serious and worried. "How is this possible?" he asked the assembled council. 3 months ago, we were laughing at the idea of humans being a threat. Now they are leading a rebellion that is tearing apart half the galaxy. Ambassador Kelmtar from the Science Council was frantically reviewing data with his 4 eyes. According to my analysis, the humans have been preparing for this war for at least 5 years. They have been making alliances, gathering intelligence, and building weapons specifically designed to fight the hegemony. But how did they know to prepare? Asked Counselor Vrex, his jellyfish-like body pulsing with confused colors. The answer came from the ancient archivist Kethran. He was the only council member who had not laughed at the humans. His old face looked sad, but not surprised. "Because they have been helping refugees," he said quietly. "While the rest of us ignored the hegemony's victims, the humans gave them shelter. Those refugees shared their knowledge, their technology, and their desire for freedom. Commander Steve Parker was leading a combined fleet of human ships and alien rebel vessels toward a major hegemony supply base. Steve was a young captain with brown hair who had learned to work with aliens better than most humans. His fleet included ships from 6 different species, all working together under human leadership. "All ships, this is Parker," he said over the communication system. "Remember, we hit fast and hard, then disappear before their reinforcements arrive. Stay coordinated and watch each other's backs." The attack was perfectly executed. The hegemony. Base was destroyed in minutes, and the rebel fleet vanished before enemy ships could respond. It was becoming clear that humans had a talent for this kind of warfare that other species lacked. Captain Maria Rodriguez was working with intelligence officers from multiple alien species, planning attacks on hegemony communication networks. She was a smart woman with long black hair who spoke 7 alien languages fluently. "If we can disrupt their command structure," she explained to her alien partners, "their fleets will not be able to coordinate properly. Each group will have to fight alone." The plan worked perfectly. Within days, hegemony forces across the galaxy were cut off from their commanders, making them easy targets for rebel attacks. Back on the Deathbringer, Commander Vashatar finally admitted the truth to himself. "Signal the retreat," he told his crew. "We are going home." But as his damaged fleet tried to leave Earth's solar system, they found their path blocked by ships from a dozen different species, all flying under Earth's flag. The hunters had become the hunted, and there was nowhere left to run. Captain Jake Morrison walked slowly across the bridge of his ship. The HSS Vengeance was the first of its kind. No alien race knew what humans had built in secret. The ship looked normal from the outside, but inside it held technology that could change everything. Jake stopped in front of the main screen. A blue hologram appeared, showing an alien with strange markings on his face. The alien looked angry and spoke with a voice that made Jake's skin crawl. "The species called humans must come to the Galactic Council now. You have been building ships without permission. Your people are too primitive to handle such technology. Stop all military work immediately. Submit to Council control." The message ended, and the hologram disappeared. The bridge became very quiet. Jake looked at his crew. They had worked together for 3 years, building something the aliens said was impossible. Dr. Lisa Cooper stood at her science station. Her hands moved quickly over the controls as she checked the ship's systems. She was the smartest person Jake had ever met. She had helped create the technology that powered their ship. "Captain," said Commander Alex Parker from his position at the weapons station, "our long-range sensors are picking up something big. 17 fleets are heading toward Earth. I count over 300 ships total. Jake felt his stomach drop. Earth's defense fleet had only 43 ships. All of them used old fusion engines that were slow compared to alien technology. The aliens had antimatter weapons and shields that could stop almost any attack. What types of ships are coming? Jake asked. Alex studied his screen carefully. Mixed forces, sir. Zenthari heavy cruisers, Kethrin battle destroyers, and Vorthon assault carriers. They're bringing everything they have. Lisa looked up from her station. Captain, they're not coming to talk. This is an invasion force. Jake had known this day would come. For 10 years, the Galactic Council had treated humans like children. They told Earth what they could and could not do. They limited human expansion to just a few star systems. They demanded tribute payments of rare metals and food. In return, they gave humans nothing. The Council said humans were a Level 2 civilization. That meant they were smart enough to use basic technology, but too primitive to be trusted with real power. The aliens kept humans locked in a small corner of space like pets in a cage. But humans had been busy during those 10 years. While the aliens thought Earth was playing with simple fusion rockets, human scientists had been working on something much more advanced. Jake walked over to Lisa's station. Dr. Cooper, what's the status of our dark matter drive? Lisa smiled for the first time that day. Fully operational, Captain. All systems are running perfectly. The quantum communication network is online, too. We can talk to all 7 sister ships instantly, no matter how far apart we are. Jake nodded. The 8 dark matter ships had been built in secret facilities hidden throughout the solar system. One under the ice of Europa, another in the asteroid belt. The main construction yard was buried deep under the moon's surface where alien sensors could not detect it. Commander Parker spoke up again. Sir, the alien fleets will reach Earth in 3 days. Our conventional defense fleet is moving into position near the moon, but they don't stand a chance, Jake finished. I know. The captain walked to the center of the bridge and activated the ship-wide communication system. His voice echoed through every corridor and room on the Vengeance. All hands, this is Captain Morrison. For 10 years, the Galactic Council has treated humanity like we are children who don't know how to use dangerous toys. They have told us where we can go and where we cannot go. They have taken our resources and given us nothing back. They have kept us trapped in our small corner of space while they explore the galaxy freely. Jake paused and looked out at the stars through the main view screen. Somewhere out there, hundreds of alien warships were racing toward Earth with the intention of enslaving his entire species. The Council thinks we are weak because we are young. They think we are stupid because our technology looks primitive. To them, they believe we will surrender without a fight because that's what other species have done before us. The captain's voice grew stronger as he continued. But they have made a terrible mistake. They have forgotten something important about humans. We don't give up, we don't surrender, and we definitely don't bow down to bullies who think they're better than us. Lisa was monitoring communications from the other 7 ships. Each one was reporting that their dark matter drives were ready for action. The HSS Retribution was hidden near Mars. The HSS Defiance was stationed beyond Jupiter. The HSS Liberty was waiting in the asteroid belt. The other 4 ships were positioned throughout the outer solar system, invisible to alien sensors. Today, Jake continued over the ship's communication system, we show the Galactic Council what happens when you underestimate the human spirit. We show them what happens when you try to cage a species that was born to be free. We show them that humanity will never kneel to anyone. Lieutenant Danny Walsh looked up from his communication station. Captain, I'm receiving coded messages from Earth Command. Admiral Peterson is asking for our status. Jake walked over to Danny's station. Tell the Admiral that Operation Dark Dawn is ready to begin. All 8 ships are in position and waiting for orders. The captain looked around his bridge at the men and women who would soon make history. They were not the strongest species in the galaxy. They were not the oldest or the wisest. But they had something the aliens had lost during their thousands of years of civilized living. They had the willingness to take risks and try impossible things. Dr. Cooper checked her instruments one more time. Captain, the dark matter field. Generators are stable. We're ready to phase shift on your command. Phase shifting was what made the dark matter drive so special. When activated, it would move the ship partially outside of normal space and time. Alien sensors would not be able to detect them. Alien weapons would not be able to target them. But human weapons would still work perfectly against alien ships that remained in normal space. Jake smiled grimly as he thought about the surprise waiting for the Galactic Council fleets. They expected to find a primitive world defended by slow ships with weak weapons. Instead, they would discover that humans had developed technology that even the oldest alien civilizations considered impossible. All stations, prepare for combat. Operations, Jake ordered. In 3 days, we're going to send a message to the galaxy. We're going to tell them that humanity is done being pushed around. The bridge crew began their final preparations. Soon, the Galactic Council would learn that underestimating humans was the biggest mistake they had ever made. 3 days before the alien fleets arrived at Earth, Dr. Lisa Cooper was working in the most secret place in the solar system. The research facility was buried deep under the moon's south pole, hidden beneath layers of ice and rock where no alien scanner could find it. Lisa stood in front of a massive machine that hummed with strange energy. The dark matter drive was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. It was the size of a small building and glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to bend space around it. "Final calibration complete," she called out to her team. The dark matter field is holding steady at 98% efficiency. Dr. Ben Rodriguez looked up from his monitoring station. His face was covered in sweat even though the facility was kept cold. "Lisa, what we're doing here shouldn't be possible. According to every physics textbook in the galaxy, dark matter can't be controlled like this." Chief Engineer Rachel Stone crawled out from inside the engine core, her clothes dirty with strange oil that seemed to shimmer with its own light. "Ben's right. This thing doesn't just move through space. It's actually convincing space to move around us instead." Lisa smiled and wiped her hands on a clean cloth. She had spent 5 years of her life creating this technology. 5 years of working 18 hours a day, solving problems that the smartest aliens in the galaxy said were impossible to solve. "That's exactly why it works," Lisa explained to her team. "The council races have been using the same basic technology for thousands of years. They make improvements, but they never question the basic ideas behind their science." She walked over to a large window that looked out into the engine chamber. Inside, streams of energy flowed in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The energy was dark matter, the invisible stuff that made up most of the universe but that no one had ever learned to control before. "When I was studying at Earth University, I read some very old books about quantum physics," Lisa continued. "The books were written by human scientists hundreds of years ago, long before we met any aliens. These humans had crazy ideas about how the universe worked." Dr. Rodriguez joined her at the window. "What kind of crazy ideas?" "They asked questions that no alien scientist would ever ask. Questions like, what if space and time aren't really separate things? What if matter and energy are just different ways of looking at the same thing? What if the laws of physics aren't really laws but just habits that the universe has gotten used to?" Rachel Stone laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. "You're saying that human scientists were better than alien scientists even before we had space travel?" "Not better," Lisa said carefully. "Different. Alien civilizations developed technology by building on what they already knew. They found ways to make fusion reactors more efficient. They built bigger ships and stronger weapons. But they never asked if there might be a completely different way to do things." She pointed at the dark matter drive. "This machine doesn't work by following the laws of physics. It works by convincing the universe to ignore those laws for a little while. We're not moving through space faster than light. We're making space move around us while we stay in the same place." The 3 scientists stood in silence for a moment, watching the impossible machine do impossible things. Outside the facility, They knew that alien fleets were racing toward Earth with the intention of enslaving humanity. But down here in the hidden laboratory, humans had created something that would change everything. "Dr. Cooper," called Lieutenant Danny Walsh from the communications station. "I'm receiving a message from Captain Morrison on the Vengeance. He wants a full status. Report on all 8 ships." Lisa walked over to the communications panel and activated the quantum entanglement network. This was another piece of technology that aliens said was impossible. The network allowed instant communication between all 8 dark matter ships, no matter how far apart they were. "This is Dr. Cooper to all ships. Report your dark matter drive status." One by one, the other 7 ships reported in. The HSS Retribution near Mars was fully operational. The HSS Defiance beyond Jupiter was ready for action. The HSS Liberty in the asteroid belt was standing by. All 8 ships were hidden throughout the solar system, invisible to alien sensors, waiting for the order to strike. "All ships report ready, Captain Morrison," Lisa transmitted back to the Vengeance. Captain Morrison's voice came through the speakers clearly, as if he was standing right next to them. "Outstanding work, Dr. Cooper. How confident are you that the alien fleets won't be able to detect us?" Lisa looked at her monitoring equipment. "Completely confident, sir. When our ships activate their dark matter drives, they exist partially outside normal space-time. To alien sensors, will look like empty space. Their instruments will register nothing more than background cosmic radiation. What the aliens didn't understand was that humans had approached the problem of space travel from a completely different direction. While alien ships pushed through space using brute force, human ships convinced space to cooperate with them instead. "There's something else, Captain," Lisa continued. "Our weapons will work against alien ships, but their weapons won't work against us. When we fire our dark matter cannons, the energy bursts travel through normal space where alien ships exist. But when they fire at us, their weapons will pass harmlessly through ships that are partially phased out of reality." Dr. Rodriguez shook his head in amazement. "It's like we're fighting a battle where we can hit them, but they can't hit us back." "That's exactly what it's like," Lisa agreed. "The Council fleets are coming here expecting to fight primitive fusion ships with weak weapons and no shields. Instead, they're going to face technology that's so advanced they won't even understand what's happening to them." Rachel Stone was monitoring the engine core again. "Lisa, what happens after we win this battle? The Council isn't going to just give up and leave us alone." Lisa thought about that question carefully. She knew that once humans revealed their dark matter technology, everything would change. The Galactic Council would no longer be able to treat Earth like a primitive backwater planet. "After today, the Council will have to recognize us as equals," she said finally. "They'll have no choice. You can't keep a species in chains when that species has technology that's better than yours." Lieutenant Walsh looked up from his station again. "Dr. Cooper, I'm receiving a priority message from Earth Command. Admiral Peterson is asking if we're ready to begin Operation Dark Dawn." Lisa took a deep breath and looked around the secret facility that had been her home for the past 3 years. Soon, the most closely guarded secret in human history would be revealed to the galaxy. "Tell Admiral Peterson that we're ready," she said. "Tell him that it's time to show the Galactic Council what happens when you underestimate human ingenuity." The countdown to humanity's greatest moment had begun. News of the human victory spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. Within days, every space station, every planet, and every trading post knew the same incredible story. The humans had not just survived the hegemony attack, they had won. More shocking still, they were now leading a rebellion that was freeing enslaved worlds across the galaxy. Ambassador Kethron sat in his private office aboard the Council station, reading report after report. His ancient eyes had seen many wars, but nothing like this. Species that had been conquered hundreds of years ago were suddenly free. Planets that had given up hope were now celebrating liberation. And at the center of it all were the humans. The same beings the Council had dismissed as primitive only months before. A soft chime announced a visitor. Ambassador Zixathala entered, her crystal arms dim and lifeless. She moved slowly, like someone carrying a great weight. "Honored archivist," she said quietly, "I need to understand. How did we get everything so wrong?" Kethran gestured for her to sit. "You made the same mistake that powerful civilizations always make," he said gently. "You confused advancement with wisdom, technology with capability, and age with superiority." Meanwhile, Commander Steve Parker was coordinating the largest military operation in galactic history. His command ship, the Freedom's Light, was surrounded by vessels from 20 different species. All of them followed human leadership because humans had proven they could win battles that others thought were impossible. "Captain Martinez," Steve said to a young woman with dark eyes who commanded a squadron of fast attack ships, "take your group and hit the Hegemony Fuel Depot at Rigel 7. Captain Kim will provide cover with his heavy cruisers. Captain Susan." Martinez smiled as she prepared her ships for another lightning strike. She was one of many human officers who had learned to work with alien crews. Her ships were crewed by former Hegemony slaves who fought with the fury of people who had finally found hope. "Understood, Commander," Susan replied. "We'll be in and out before they know what hit them." The attack was a complete success. The Hegemony Fuel Depot was destroyed, and 3 enemy patrol ships were captured. The rebel fleet disappeared into space before reinforcements could arrive. It was becoming clear that human tactics were changing the nature of warfare itself. On Earth, President Jennifer Walsh addressed a joint session of the Global Parliament. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat together, listening to her speak about humanity's new role in the galaxy. "6 months ago, we thought we were alone in the universe," she said. "Today, we are leading a coalition of free peoples that spans dozens of star systems. We did not ask for this responsibility, but we will not turn away from it." The applause was thunderous. Humans had always dreamed of reaching the stars, but they had never imagined they would become galactic leaders so quickly. Admiral Carl Johnson stood in his command center, watching displays that showed military operations across the galaxy. Red dots marked hegemony strongholds that were under attack. Blue dots showed liberated worlds that were now part of the growing alliance. Green dots marked neutral systems that were asking to join the rebellion. "Admiral," said Colonel Patricia Hayes, a diplomatic officer with short blonde hair, "we're receiving surrender requests from hegemony forces in 7 different systems. They're asking for terms." Carl nodded thoughtfully. "Grant them safe passage to neutral space if they agree never to take military action against liberated worlds. We're liberators, not conquerors." This decision shocked many alien observers. Most galactic wars ended with the complete destruction of the losing side. Humans were showing mercy to their enemies, something that was almost unknown in galactic warfare. Back in the council chambers, an emergency session was underway. Representatives from dozens of species were demanding that the council take action, but they could not agree on what kind of action to take. "The humans are disrupting the entire galactic order," argued Ambassador Felkar from the Trade Federation. "If this continues, our economic systems will collapse." "Good," replied Ambassador Quintal from the Mining Guild. "The hegemony has been oppressing my people for 200 years. The humans are giving us our freedom back." Prime Executor Thrain found himself trying to control a room full of beings who were more divided than ever before. Half wanted to support the humans, while the other half feared what human success might mean for their own power. "The question before us," Thrain said loudly, trying to restore order, "is whether we should formally recognize the human rebellion as a legitimate government." The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some species argued that humans were too young and inexperienced to lead a galactic alliance. Others pointed out that humans had accomplished more in 6 months than the Council had achieved in the past century. Captain Maria Rodriguez was working in a secret base on a moon in the Vega system. Her job was to coordinate intelligence operations with alien rebels throughout the galaxy. She spoke with resistance leaders on dozens of worlds, helping them plan operations against hegemony forces. Cell leader Tikaran, she said to an insect-like being on her communication screen. Our sources say the hegemony is moving reinforcements to your sector. Adjust your plans accordingly. Understood, Captain Rodriguez, Tikaran replied. My warriors are ready. When do we strike? Tomorrow at 800 Galactic Standard Time. Hit them hard and fast, then disappear. Remember, we're not trying to hold territory. We're trying to make them afraid to leave their bases. These coordinated attacks were devastating to hegemony morale. Their soldiers were trained to fight traditional battles against organized armies. They were not prepared to face an enemy that could strike anywhere, anytime, and then vanish without a trace. Lieutenant Commander Ben Carter was leading a rescue mission to a hegemony prison planet. His team included human special forces and alien commandos who had volunteered to help free their own people. Ben was a quiet man with green eyes who specialized in dangerous operations. Remember, he told his team as they prepared to land, we go in fast, get the prisoners, and get out. No unnecessary violence, but protect yourselves and the people we're here to save. The mission was a complete success. Over 3,000 political prisoners were freed and transported to safety. Among them were scientists, artists, and political leaders, who would become important voices in the growing rebellion. The psychological impact of these rescues was enormous. People across the galaxy began to believe that the hegemony could be defeated. Hope, which had been almost extinct in many systems, began to grow again. Fleet Commander Vashatar sat in his quarters aboard what remained of his flagship, his invasion. Force had been reduced from 200 ships to fewer than 30. Most of his officers were dead or captured. His military career was over, and he knew it. How did it come to this? He asked himself. How did the most powerful military in the galaxy lose? To a species that we thought was primitive? The answer was simple, though Vashatar would never understand it. Humans had not won because they were more advanced or more powerful. They had won because they fought for something worth fighting for, the freedom of all sentient beings. Commander. Steve Parker received a message that would change galactic history. It was from the Galactic Council, and it contained an offer that no one had expected. The Council formally requests that humanity accept membership as an equal partner in galactic governance, the message read. Your leadership in the liberation movement has proven that Earth deserves a voice in galactic affairs. Steve smiled as he forwarded the message to President Walsh. The species that had been laughed at was now being invited to help rule the galaxy. The great joke had become the greatest upset in galactic history.